Thank you all for being here. Are we good on the Zoom?
Yeah.
Great. So we've got folks joining us on Zoom today. Lots of good smiling faces here in the room. Just want to thank you all for being here. I'm Lowell Wise. I'm Executive Director of Tacoma Tree Foundation. And we're really happy that you can be here and celebrating all the work that's gone in this fall in the Climate Leadership Cohort. Want to start off by saying that we are gathered here on Indigenous land. And despite generations of violence, Coast Salish people still live here, practice their cultures, and care for these lands and waters. We honor and respect the sovereignty of all tribal nations, both here and around the world. And also want to say our urban area was and is being built by immigrants and people of color, whose labor and cultural contributions to the modern identity of Greater Tacoma we also recognize. We are so happy to see everybody here. Members of the Climate Leadership Cohort, we have some presenters and partners that help support you along the way. We've got friends and family tuned in and also here with us in the room. And I want to call out a few folks in particular. So I want to say thank you to the Parkland Community Association and Michelle Garrett for their support and helping us host the whole program. Want to thank our incredible partners in Pierce County government and City of Tacoma, especially Nicole Avendano, Christy Lynett, and Rob McGee. Thanks to the Urban Sustainability Directors Network for kicking in some additional grant funding for this program. Thanks to Mason Westling for being here and helping us with the hybrid situation. Don't want to forget to thank Adela Ramos, who couldn't be with us today. She's on Zoom watching from Mexico. So thank you, Adela, for coordinating. And Julia Wolf as well for being the coordinator of the cohort from the Tree Foundation side. Give it up for Julia. Okay, so we've got a packed agenda because you all have done all this learning and you're here to present back to the community about what you learned. So how this is going to go, we've got a hot seat up here. You are welcome to sit or you're welcome to stand. But you're going to be on a camera, and so the Zoom people can see both you speaking and also this screen with your PowerPoint presentation. We might have some technological snafus, never know. Be patient with us. But I'm going to try to keep things moving and keeping everybody kind of on a 10-minute block. So we've got a lot of content to get to. So if you see me or Julia's got a 1-minute sign. That means your time is really running out, and you better speed it up and finish up. But we're really excited to hear from everybody, and I think that's what I need to say. So before, without further ado, I guess I'll prep everyone by saying at the end, we're going to stick around for a few minutes because cohort members need to stay to complete one final survey about your experience. And then after we do the survey, we're going to have a group photo. And we're going to have a chance for everyone to receive a certificate. So if you're watching on Zoom and you want to see the certificate presentation, you'll have to wait and let us do the surveys first. And then we'll do a little bit of celebration there at the very end. So that's what I wanted to say. And with that, our first presenter is going to be Chase Hobinga. And Chase, I don't know if you have a title for your project.
Yes.
All right.
Climate
ecosystem. All right, go ahead, Chase.
So my project was planting a resilient community ecosystem.
Those technical difficulties.
There we go. Okay, so I live in the Midland neighborhood. In the past, the area around Tacoma was full of a lot of oak prairies, but Midland in particular was used for a lot of agriculture use. So the land was kind of cleared out. It was a major hop farm in the area, and currently. Along this side is Portland Ave, that goes right through Midland. You can see a lot of it's been developed. It's all industrial use. And then off of the main street, it's more residential with kind of some spread out housing as well as just fields that are empty now, not really doing much. My hope for the future of this project is to protect the remaining green spaces in our community, and kind of restore some of those old oak prairies in the area with what is left. So kind of just some more information about the neighborhood. A lot of our street trees, while we do have some large street trees in our neighborhood, a lot of them have been damaged by either being cut for utilities, overhead, power lines, cable, internet. A lot of it's been wind damaged, so tops of them have been knocked off. They end up having multiple stems, just not the most structural and safe. And then a lot of it's also poor pruning, just to keep the trees out of the street, out of the utilities, just kind of general, not really cared for. So that kind of leaves a lot of our trees not really doing so hot. Next slide. So, as I said, the problem, our neighborhood, a lot of the main trees or big trees that are left are in poor condition, if they're even standing still. My goal is to plant more native trees in the area to bring back those native oaks. And I chose the Gary oak mostly because of that historical Gary oak prairie area that kind of surrounds a lot of Tacoma and Lakewood. They're drought resistant because they have a big taproot that goes into the soil and kind of searches for water, which is great for our soil type. It's very sandy and quick draining, but it does stay nice and wet in the winter. Dedicated green space. So Washington, as well as I think Lakewood and Tacoma as well, have protections for Gary oak trees, and a lot more hassle to try to get them taken down. So it leaves spaces where there are Gary oaks that have matured. It leaves them protected to keep those green spaces and not get developed. They have a long lifespan, so this is kind of like a real long-term goal. They can live up to 500 years old if they're taken care of properly. It's kind of 300 to 500. There's a lot of factors, but the hope is to keep these trees around for the very long term. And then that whole ecosystem part of the project, there are keystone species in our ecosystems. They support a lot of lichen, moss, fungi, a lot of animals as well will eat the acorns they use them as food. So they support a lot of different parts of these ecosystems, and they don't exist without the Gary oak. So how do these backyard trees help with our community? Our area, a lot of it's been developed, so there's a lot of concrete. Kind of ends up pretty warm in the summer, as well as Tacoma Tree Foundation's heat map that they've done. You can see Midland's one of the hotter areas because of that, and the lack of large trees. So hoping to lower the average summer temps in the area by bringing more of this tree canopy. Helps with the water drainage. We have some wetlands in our area, and they kind of soak up a lot of that water. Cleaner air, we're also right next to 512, hoping to kind of cut down on that. Highway pollution, as well as just general air pollution. Slide. So this is obviously a very long-term goal. I've kind of got this full ball rolling And I got about 40 acorns started in tree pots, and they will be growing for the next year or two. Just depends on how well they do in the summer. And once they're about up to size, they'll get planted. In the spring, I will be door knocking around in the neighborhood and just kind of compiling a list of people who are interested in getting these trees planted. And a lot of it will be focused kind of like backyard, because a lot of these backyard trees get taken care of a lot better than our street trees. They end up living longer and just healthier in general because of not having utilities, city pruning, and when there's a lot more of them, there's a lot less damage that happens as well. So in spring, that's my plan, is to get a big list of people interested in the area. And then either next fall or the year after that, whenever those trees are ready, I'll be going around and helping neighbors plant trees, or any other native shrubs if they're interested in planting. And then here's my resources. A lot of them are kind of already knew, but there was one book that I didn't put on there, which is Northwest Trees. Has a lot of information on native trees, as well as the field. That's it.
Questions?
Anybody have a question? Yeah, we got time.
I've got a question.
Sure.
So you said you planted about 40 acorns. What's your goal for tree count?
I'm hoping to get all of those in the ground. I'm going to continue to collect acorns. I've actually been getting some more connections through my job right now.
Do you have a number in your head you want to get to?
I don't know if I have a number. I'm kind of just going to keep planting them and see see as much as I can get planted in the area. But 40 is the starting number of what I was able to get started in pots currently.
There's a question back.
Yes.
So for a glacier zone, right?
Yes.
Have the ability to plant some of these.
Yes, we're in the glacial till area, so we have a lot of sandy, kind of rocky soil. But what that means is our soil does drain very well in the summer when it's not raining a lot, which is actually a benefit for this tree because it's got that deep tap root. It goes down deep into the soil and it'll search for that water.
All right, thank you, Chase. So one more question.
I'm curious about, do fairy oaks have a symbiotic relationship with any other trees? Because I've been reading books about trees and it seems like some of them really work together.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they have symbiotic relationship with other trees in particular, but they do. They are found a lot with like pines and firs, but typically they don't want tall trees that shade them out because they really like having full sun.
Yeah. All right, thank you. All right, next up, we have Ella Guilford talking about growing tree canopy and green space at Fox Glen.
All right, Ella. Oh.
Yes.
You can use yes.
Yeah, I'm going to turn the light.
Okay, spot there. Hi, my name is Ella Gifford. I am here because of Kathy Wright, I believe. A friend I met at Tacoma Community College, and she invited me to the garden there that she maintained. And she offered me an invite to solicit people from my church who would be interested in becoming a part of this cohort, which I didn't know at the time. And my son, I think you will be in there, my grandson, Rashawn. I wanted him to be a part of it. He didn't get selected, but he's been helping me a lot. And so this first picture is just a picture of the idea of what I want. And the name of that slide was Tree Canopy plus Green Space of University Place, Fox Glen area, which is the home HO, thank you so much. Site that I live in. And this second slide is just the space and the vision that I wanted to show you that was overgrown with the English ivy crawling up the tree. And this is the landscaper that I use. Thank God for him. And thank you for telling me about him. And so here is Alejandro and his workers clearing out the space here. And we had English ivy growing up the tree. And they actually had to remove 3 dead trees so that ivy suddenly does kill those trees. Next slide. And here's just the purpose here. You know, when I first joined this cohort, I had cut down 3 trees in my yard. I couldn't stand the leaves and the debris and the cost to maintain them. And so once I got here and realized the value of the trees and how they bring a healthier environment, and so it kind of changed my purpose of what I wanted to do. And so here, because I became educated, my goal now is to educate my community. Next slide, please. And here is actually the green space that was cleaned up. So the first part here is cleaned out, done. This is my actual land. And my goal is to combine the HOA Homeowners Association, which is their ivy is still back there. So you can see what I had to clean here. This is my space. And it is just beautiful. I didn't even know I had a wall of a rock wall to the outside. And thank you again, Rachel, for taking these pictures for me. And it is a great conversation if people get interested and involved in my community. Okay, next slide. Here is just telling you what I did, how I got to this point. I went down to the auditor's office and got a map of my land and the whole map of actually Fox Glen. Fox Glen has 3 areas and we are area 3. And so they showed me my property and then Alejandro and I got together and marked out my land. So, and then he gave me an estimate of my land and what the homeowners portion would be. I presented that to them. And they want me to present to the homeowners association and tell them what my ideas are and plan. So that's in progress. Next slide. And here is just a community engagement, what I did to get here. Their mentorship from the Tacoma Tree Foundation. Thank you, Julie and Adele and Natalie. Which Natalie, I still need to get together and get those free trees. That's what I need. And so the support has been just great. The homeowners told me I can do what I want with the land. They offered to purchase a sign. So this beauty space is Bella, which means beautiful in Spanish. Beautiful. It's Bella's tree canopy green space. And it is for the community, for the young kids. There's a bus stop right there. So hopefully they no longer have to just stand along the street, but they can sit there and utilize that space. And hopefully it inspired the rest of the community, because our homeowners is not really a gated community. It's different streets. So my street would be the one that set the example. And this is just telling you what I just said. I went down to the the auditor's office and found out what I needed to do and spoke with the homeowners association, and I'm collaborating with them, as well as every time I do something, once I got my estimate, I also presented the estimate for the homeowners association if they wanted to participate. And they did offer to buy the seating space that we would have there, as well as the sign that I want to create for the school. Okay, next. And so this is my beautiful space. Again, that's theirs. That is not true. And that's a picture of Alejandro and his young worker that came to help us and myself. It was Sunday, so I just came from church. A picture of the book. And so this is what we have so far. Okay, next slide. And this is the impact that we're hoping, because I've learned the value of the trees, that the oxygen and everything they provide. It is offer a healthier environment for the people that live there. It also beautifies the community. And I've learned some of my resources that you will see. I went to tree planting day on the east side, as well as the tree. Well, the history of trees with Natalie. And so I've learned a lot about how to maintain those trees. And I've already purchased some what they call, not in the ivy, that little miniature pine trees, as well as I forget the name of the other brush, but I have them to plant. It rained so hard the next day after I purchased, so I didn't set them out there yet. Alejandro said he would come and help me plant them, but I know how to do it. Next slide. And this is just what Bella represents. This is my vision. It's a tree canopy green space, a Fox Glen and University space. And I have a question, what if our neighborhood could breathe easier, play safer, and grow stronger just by planting trees? That's the heart of Bella's capstone tree canopy green space, designed to meet the urgent need of climate change by nurturing the family of Fox Glen and University Place. This space is more than a patch of green, it's a living promise. I promise to cool our community through shade, rich tree canopy, and reduce heat, island, and energy costs, capture the carbon and improve air quality for every child, elder, and neighbor who call Fox Glen home, and restore the biodiversity with native plants and pollinators that bring life back to our yards and parks. Create a safer gathering space where family can connect, children can play, and elders can sit and rest. That's me. Under the the motto climate resiliency, that's what our goal is, to let people know the value of this land. Bella Villian is rooted in love for the land, for the people, and for the future. It's a space that answers a climate change needs, not with fear, but with hope. And it's built by and for the family of Fox Glen. Because when we plant together, we grow together. I will not put down another street. This is what I want it to look like. It will not have those leafy trees. My canopy is full of pine trees. Thank you so much.
Any questions?
Yes.
I just gotta know, how curious were your neighbors? Were they like, what is she doing?
Well, you know, I talked with the president and the vice president. Didn't even know the vice president of our homeowners actually was my neighbor right along the street. And so once they found out what I wanted to do, I've just been communicating with them. And I found out that one, Mr. Jim, who walked his dog, he said he has a green space in his backyard that he'd already created. So that was interesting to know that people are already interested in it. I haven't seen his space yet, but mine is the entry to cul-de-sac area. So
That's fantastic.
thank you so much.
Thank you.
We got one more question. Sorry.
One quick question. Do you find, have you had conversations with neighbors that you had not really engaged with before this?
Yes, people walk their dog all the time. We're in the yard, but they actually stop when we have a conversation. I've learned their names and I just see them by sight. So it is a great conversation, please. I think he talked with them more than me.
All right, thanks, Ella. All right, next up we have Kalika Carver Cox talking about Pacific Northwest flora for garden towers. Here we go.
Camera spot right there.
Yep.
Somebody.
Probably right in front of
Okay.
just a tap. So, where's that?
So I decided I wanted to construct a garden tower here, that utilizes native plants, and upcycled materials. I'm not sure what happened there. Oh. So I experimented on like a smaller scale, with some smaller planters, so all the plants pictured, most of them are mine. Benefits, like could include, depending on how you design yours, filtering, like pollution, utilizing like indigenous knowledge, for ethnobotanical uses, especially I wanted to emphasize like low cost materials, for low income folks, or and also wanted it to be like maximizing the space so that renters could have like an easy garden. You could even do something like this indoors if it wasn't raining plants. Yeah, so those are basically my goals and some of the barriers. I really wanted, because I know Tacoma, like Pierce County, has had a lot of like industrial development, a lot of native plants, green spaces have been historically removed. So I guess I wanted to kind of bring a planter in as a form of like kind of like mitigating that a little bit, providing some habitat and also providing some uses, or like benefits to have it on their porches or whatnot. So that's kind of, this is meant to be sort of right here. I got the plants, a lot of them from local small nurseries. It's also easy to like grow from seed to propagate. Thrift store for the base. Scrap items for filler. And then it was really stormy yesterday. It didn't fall over though in all the wind. Was able to kind of prevent some more rain going in. It's pretty so heavy. So that's that. And just more details about materials used here. Yeah, that's all the species I added. That's that photo is Deepentopia in downtown. They're really dispersed. So I think overall, like I'd love to collaborate with the community more on concepts like this. I am now a member of Climate Alliance South Sound. And I used a lot of knowledge from my Evergreen degree to put this together. I'd love to collaborate maybe at Evergreen again. Just like local Tacoma and Pierce County community. Harvest Pierce County was also interested in this concept. So yeah, there's QR code where I can be contacted, or if you're looking for more like detailed resources of where I got things for this, I'm trying to, I already added a bunch, but I'm adding more. In the back, I put like 10 packets of native wildflower seeds, for anyone interested. Yeah.
Any questions?
Yes.
For curiosity, the styrofoam that you chose to use, is that just to bring up the base?
Yeah, it was bring up the base a little bit and make the planter a little lighter overall. So certain layers weren't like heavier than others or could still be wheeled easily.
Very good.
Since I really like your slides, they really are so visually appealing.
Oh, thank you. Yes.
So much a question, but, in Waller, there's a place called Marsh Community for, adults with intellectual disabilities, and they have a nursery where they sell plants to me for really cheap when the prices go. The community setting.
Oh yeah, thank you. That's awesome. You just reminded me, I wanted to shout out that Tacoma Bird Alliance is giving away so many native plants right now for free. You can just like order, I don't know, I think up to like 50 or something like that. So check that out too. But yeah, thank you for that resource too.
All right, thank you.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
thanks.
All right, next up, we have Gabrielle Early. And the title is Closing the Loop on Christmas Tree Waste.
Hi, everybody. I'm fresh from the Christmas tree farm and I'm running there right when I go back. So this is a interesting break in the day. Closing the loop, if you don't know, refers to a circular system in which waste from the system is reinvested, the energy is reinvested in the system itself, rather than our current linear system in which we produce, consume, and then throw away. This is a linear system. I had my project on my Christmas tree farm, which is in Sumner, situated between the White River and the Puyallup River, and we actually have a creek on our property that leads into the White River. Also, no salmon. Okay, next slide. Currently, it's a Christmas tree farm. This is a picture I took a few days ago. Just as a side note, we have big visions for what it could be and all the beautiful plants that could live there. So it's not just 5 species, but tons of biodiversity. You can do it very fanciful imagining if you hit next. Yeah. Okay, we've been good. So when I was thinking about closing the loop in this sphere in which I have a lot of control, I was wondering if trees were going into the landfill. I've never really thought about this because I live on a Christmas tree farm, so the trees just go outside and then they get sort of like mulched up. But I didn't know if trees were going into the landfill. That would be a problem. If we go to our next slide. Is that when trees go into the landfill, they don't get oxygen to decompose, which leads to methane, which of course is a greenhouse gas, which warms our atmosphere at between 20 and 30 times more than just regular carbon when something decomposes. But with a proper disposal, if it's going to get commercially composted, that can go back into the land. There's 2 ways that can happen in the systems we have in Pierce County. One is the yard waste bin, which is a great way. It's pretty convenient for people if they have a way to cut up their tree and put it, then it goes to commercial composting. Or we actually, I learned something that our transfer stations that have yard waste will take up to a ton of free yard waste. So they'll take your tree for you for free if you have access to that. Next slide, please. But there are still barriers to some people don't know this. I mean, I didn't know this, and it's something I work very closely with. So I think a lot of people just put it in the garbage or burn it. So that's what I've been hearing from my customers this year because I've been asking them. If somebody's not close to a transfer station, that can be too great a time or like transportation commitment. And of course, access to a yard waste bin. I don't have them. So I wasn't sure how many people in our county do have it. So mitigating that means, next slide, that you can provide information to customers. So luckily I have like 100% access to the customers I have. So I made them this flyer providing information on where they can take their tree in some convenient ways. Again, the yard waste bin or the transfer stations. I also am offering a easy drop off. Presumably if they made it to me, then it's an easy place for them to come. So we're offering a free tree drop off in early January. And I also decided to add cardboard to that, just because I know post Christmas, a lot of people have extra boxes around. I know that oftentimes my recycling will get full with all of the cardboard waste. And so Definitely don't want to have that go into the garbage. We can take it off people's hands because, next slide please, we're gonna repurpose it. You saw my very fanciful imagining of what our property could be. On a more realistic scale, we're gonna do some replanting with some native plants. Shout out to everybody who's already talked about native plants. And part of that is that we have a lot of invasive noxious weeds on our property. So by chipping those Christmas trees that come to us and using cardboard sheet mulch, I have an example on the next slide. For example, this is our Himalayan blackberries, which are taking like feet and feet and feet off the side of our property every year. And with the mulch, again, another kind of fanciful I'm trying to pick some native plants. I think that's something on the side. But yeah, that's mainly the project. I had some help along the way. Customers are responding really well so far. People are really excited about this, which was cool. You get a big mix. I can tell who's in my parking lot by their bumper stickers. So you can have a wide diversity of thoughts and political ideology, but people are responding really well. They're really excited to have a place. People are responding well to the idea that we're trying to keep trees out of the landfill. Some complications is that not all wood chippers are created equal, and sometimes trees are more than 3 inches wide. I was really grateful for, we partnered with an intentional community in Buckley who gave us access to their tool, not really library, it's not public, but we did some tool swapping, which was a way that, we don't have to buy a new chipper or rent a chipper. And good vibes in the community. Yeah, I think I'm missing a slide here, but just shout out to Climate Co-working who helped me send the emails that I needed to send. Thank you to Hope for getting me connected with the Pierce County Solid Waste Manager, who was a great ally in helping me find what resources were available in our county, the systems that are already working to this end. And yeah, I think that's it. Thank you.
Do you have like a network of other tree farm, Christmas tree farms that you could bring this to? Or should we talk with anybody about that?
Yeah, so for the first year, I'm planning to keep on doing this, is what I should say, is that it feels pretty easy and manageable. For this year, I did not know how many people were going to respond. And there is a limited amount of trees that like me and a couple of people who are gonna help me with this can handle. So we were, I held back on inviting or extending this drop-off invitation to all the tree farms in our area, but there are a ton. On my road alone, there's 5. So I think we are gonna extend it next year. There's also a Puget Sound Christmas Tree Association. Yeah.
Rob, how many trees do you sell and harvest each year?
Yeah, we try to sell between 300 and 400. We have about 2,000 trees out in the field right now. Yeah.
Do you see this as one of the steps towards your goal, your family goal of becoming a permaculture farm?
Wow, I didn't plan that question, by the way.
I'm thinking it is.
Yes, I do. I mean, the idea of keeping the energy from the system within the property is pretty important to me. That the trees from the property can go on to have new life within the property is like almost like spiritually fulfilling to me. As well as, of course, we're transitioning parts of our field into the habitat that you saw before.
Can you share where we can drop off our Christmas tree?
Yes, can we go back to that slide with the info sheet? I meant to bring flyers, but it's like at the very beginning. There. Okay, yes. January 3rd from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. at Harvey's Harvest Christmas Tree, which is in Sumner. You can drop off your tree. Don't worry, you have a special invitation.
I just wondered, Have you been in communication with the Pierce Conservation District? Because I remember they made the Lindy a big chip. Is it good chipping in different communities of those places?
That's a great idea. I have been in contact with them in the past, but I haven't thought about them as a tool resource. That's a great idea.
Great, thank you so much. All right, next up, we have another exciting presentation from Connor Mom and Rufaro Guza. And the title is Air Quality Monitoring in Lakewood's Tacoma and Springbrook neighborhoods. So let's give it up.
Hello guys, I hope you're having a good afternoon so far. My name's Rufaro.
My name's Connor.
And our project is on air quality monitoring in Lakewood's Tacoma and Springbrook neighborhoods. So this is just a further introduction. So I'm currently a staff at Pierce College studying history and pre-law. I hope to go into environmental health policy with that. And my favorite trees are the Douglas fir and the coast redwood. And for Halloween, I dressed up as Nick Watt.
So my name's Connor. I'm in my second year at TCC. I'm studying environmental engineering. I'm native to Tacoma and I like the Bodhi tree. And I never say my switch in my crew. And I dressed up as Balloon Boy. And I'm gonna be reusing the costume when I go see the tattoo.
Okay, so this is just a general overview of what we'll be going over. Just skip to the next slide. So number one is the community context and the air quality concerns. Before we further talk about monitoring, it's important to understand the context of the neighborhoods that me and Connor worked in. Lakewood is a city located in Pierce County. It has around 63,000 residents and is one of Washington's most diverse cities, being majority minority. It has a long history being connected to JBLM, or Joint Lewis Basement Board, and the city's layout is strongly shaped by major highways and military infrastructure. Within Lakewood, we're focusing on the Tacoma and Springbrook neighborhoods. I think if you click again, yeah. There are the green circles right here. Tacoma is a small culturally diverse neighborhood located directly along I-5 and bordering JBLM. Much of the housing is older, with limited investment over the years, and the community has had historic gaps in infrastructure. Springbrook faced similar challenges. It's geographically isolated, being surrounded by I-5 and military property, most especially in this case, the Air Force Base on JBLM, which limits access to schools, services, and commercial areas. This neighborhood contains dense multifamily housing and has some of the highest poverty rates in the city and in Pierce County. And it has been long identified as an underserved community, needing more resources and targeted support. Both of these neighborhoods have been designated by the city as overburdened and vulnerable, meaning residents already experience a combination of economic stress, infrastructure gaps, and health disparities. Next slide. So here are some of the air quality concerns. The I-5 freeway runs directly across the neighborhoods, and JBLM and the McCord Field Air Base really contribute a ton of aircraft exhaust, fuel emissions, and increased particulate matter, especially ultrafine particulate matter. Older housing has poor ventilation, making residents more vulnerable to outdoor pollution entering homes, and aging infrastructure worsens the exposure. Also, I would say, especially for Tacoma, there are a lot of older residents at risk. Yeah, next slide, please.
So I took the data straight off of the environmental disparities map, and it kind of shows that both of them rank 10 in general. But something to point out is their social economic factors and their sensitive population. It makes them more like vulnerable to health costs. So if they have to take like a trip to the ER because of like wildfire smoke or like an asthma attack, it would really hit them the most. They this particular community deals with a lot of pul- um pul- pul- pulmonary disease.
Okay, so why we started monitoring. Despite many of these concerns, there's been little monitoring for the area as a whole, especially in comparison to cities like that are neighboring it, like Tacoma. These air quality maps were taken from both the Purple Air Map website and the Department of Ecology's air quality map. And as you can see, as you go further south, less monitoring is typically seen, with only 3 air monitors present in Lakewood, one of which we put up, but I'll get to later. And when looking at the historical data of purple air monitoring within the neighborhoods, there's been a lack of sustained monitoring since 2020, with monitors going offline for weeks, months, or even years at a time.
We decided to take our own efforts and reach to Eileen, which she's part of the Nature Conservancy. She had a bunch of spare purple air sensors for us to use, and we first started with 2 monitors. We tried to get one out in Springbrook and in Tillicum. So over there is the Tillicum Community Center, where we spoke with Jesse Black, who is the executive director, and we were able to install an air sensor on I think mid October, and these sensors are readable to the public. The data is visible to the public, and one thing that really interested me when I was installing was that people were pointing at it. We were asking like what it is, and kind of like how can they see more data like this. So here are insights. So I wanted to do a comparison of an air sensor in Tillicum and one in Tillicum, and we're using the air quality index, which is calculated by all the particulate matters. And you can see that Tillicum tends to have higher peaks than Tillicum tends to have higher peaks than the latter, and we can't make any conclusive data because none of this is like scientific, very professional, but we can definitely see a trend that the location of Tillicum tends to have higher particulate matter.
Okay, why increased monitoring is needed and some of the advocacy. So there are multiple pollution sources within Lakewood, and this means that the air quality varies across neighborhoods. One monitor can capture a localized hotspot or block by block differences. And more data strengthens community advocacy and environmental movements. And next. So we presented to the Puget Sound Asthma Coalition, Denise Prince, who is one of the I guess panelists kind of reached out to us and gave us the opportunity to, and we were able to create a ton of connections to organizations that are just as passionate about the topic as we are. And next slide. Okay, so for the conclusion, we wanted to thank Eileen with the Nature Conservancy, Jesse Black with the Tillicum Community Center, Denise and the rest of the Puget Sound Asthma Coalition, all of you guys, the Climate Leadership Cohort, the panelists, Lowell, Julia, and Adele. Thank you.
Springbrook, but we will be working on it.
Yeah, trust.
Oh.
Any questions? Yeah, Rob?
You said that you had folks who were interested when you were putting up the sensor.
Yeah.
Do you have any signage up there so that folks can continue to learn about the air quality data that you're collecting?
Not just yet, but we are planning out routinely.
I have a question, I just wanna say this is so. Wow, incredible citizen science, like this is fantastic, just want to do shouting us out. So.
All right. Okay, next up, we have a 5-minute break. We're gonna turn the lights on. You can stretch, you can talk, go use the restrooms, and we'll get started again in 5 minutes. Heather, I want to invite people to use the upfront area as well. They have an empty table up here. Go to the head of the class. Okay, are we ready on Zoom? Yep. Okay. In this next stretch of projects, we're gonna have a couple people presenting virtually, which is exciting. Sad they can't be here, but we'll see a couple recordings too. Someone in the back want to hit the light for us again? Go back in the dark. The light thing is hard to navigate. There's like pros and cons to doing it either way. Okay, our next presentation is from Kath Ross. Kath is going to talk to us about the power of music to inspire climate action.
So I don't know if you guys remember back to when we started in our training, we all were asked, what are your goals? What's your objective for being cohort? And mine was to try to layer and embed climate action into the organizations I currently work with. So it's like, I just build it into my life as I live it already. And next slide. I sing with the Tacoma Refugee Choir, and I started a couple years ago, and I have sung in choirs before, and I thought, okay, I'm going to sing with the choir, and it'll be a form of entertainment for an audience, because that's the way it's been in the past. But this choir is different, I found out. And we are very focused on sending out a message, building awareness about the issues faced by refugees, immigrants, the underserved communities in Tacoma and the wider community. And when we do performances, it's singing, but it's also speakers, and there's messaging, and there's usually a theme, and we really try to use this as a forum to build awareness in the community. We also have the community and the audience sing with us. So all the songs we sing, we show the lyrics on a screen, and we heavily encourage people to sing with us. It's kind of slow to get started. We've had some concerts where people actually get up and dance. We encourage that as well. But we really feel that experience together as a community really helps to build those bonds. It's proven. It's a proven science today that singing together really helps us build together. And I thought, wow, this is a great platform to be leveraged to spread the message of all the climate issues we're facing, what we need to do to solve this. So the timeline here is just a hypothetical timeline. As you can see, here we are at graduation in December. And as we look out to next year, we have a performance January 24th. That's too soon. The next opportunity is on May 30th at the Tacoma Armory. And so there's me basically going to the choir with this proposal that performance could be focused on a theme around climate action. And if we go down that path, come January, we'd start thinking about what music we would want to identify that might be helpful for that. And we also think about what speakers we'd like to invite, what organizations. So typically for our performances in the lobby area before the performance, we have organizations, tables and booths to help just get more information out to the community. And we would invite them, say, hey, we got this theme that would hopefully attract. Of course, we've got the panel, all the organizations that participate in the panels, those organizations would be invited to speak and to represent themselves. And then, there would be that performance. And so that's the timeline. If it doesn't work for next year, every year we had 2 performances. So somewhere in the future, I feel like we could definitely make this happen. These were some of the songs I started thinking about. I really like this part because I could really kind of drill into, you know, what are the songs I've heard in the past and what are the songs that have those messages. And it's interesting because a lot of these songs you listen to them, but you don't maybe focus on the lyrics that much. And I think that's what's great when we do sing these songs, displaying those lyrics, and people say, "Oh wow, there's some powerful messaging in these songs. I never thought of it from that standpoint." Of course, all these songs have different layers of interpretation, but I really had fun just kind of looking out there and seeing what songs would be useful. And we do have some songs that we sing where we do some vamps and we can kind of like customize the songs to fit the theme. So that's always an opportunity as well. So what I learned in this exercise and going through the training and being a part of the cohort, the panel discussions were really helpful because it showed me there's so many organizations out there that are trying to do the right thing for the community here. And one thing that struck me was just how maybe siloed those organizations are. I mean, they're tackling it from their individual perspectives. So I thought it'd just be great if there was more collaboration. So I feel like having, for example, a climate-focused performance allows these organizations to come together and kind of help with that collaboration and building those bonds. And also, I really think it's important to engage the community at an emotional level and just hitting them with data, telling them these are the facts. I think we really need to show that there is a care and a level of inspiration that can be brought about to motivate them to do the right thing as well. Slide. So the key takeaway is a community that sings together is a community that's going to build together to solve these problems of climate action. And the next slide, my acknowledgements are really the participants, the cohort, you know, the panel discussions that we had, all the representation that we had. Obviously, the Tacoma Refugee Choir that allows us to have this platform for building awareness in the community. And of course, the Tacoma Tree Foundation for having this program. Thank you.
Questions? Gabriel?
First of all, you made me remember why I wanted to be a music teacher. Are you aware of the Justice Choir Network or the Justice Choir Songbook?
No, actually, I'm sure they are aware of it because it sounds like something. It just triggered a memory in my mind because when we were thinking about music planning, there is some references they make to the availability of certain songs that have been created.
Okay.
To pull from. So I feel like they're already doing that. But I'm great that you asked me so I can at least put that on the table just to make sure that we are using that.
Great music about like the climate crisis along a spectrum of justice issues.
That would be great. Excellent. Thank you.
Could you tell me again where the performances are held?
Oh yes, and you're all welcome to come. It's free. It's really for the community, so we definitely encourage everyone to come. The performance on January 24th is at Lincoln High School, and the one on May 30th is at Tacoma Art Ring.
Oh, right.
Great. Well, thank you, Kat.
Oh, I was just gonna ask you, are you using any data on how many refugees are coming into the community as climate refugees?
We haven't, but that would be a great thing to highlight and to showcase in the performance. For sure. Thank you for that. Yeah.
Thank you. Well, yeah. So Kat is actually part of 2 projects. And along with Hope Springer here, they're going to talk to us next about the North End Fruit Survey. Another round of applause.
Yeah, hi everyone. Kat had to, really overachieve the rest of us. No, she's been a great partner in this. So we wanted to look at fruit trees generally in Tacoma, but also I just live in the North End, so it was easy for me to start there and see where the fruit trees are there. And for a little bit more context, I am a recycling and composting educator in Thurston County. So my brain kind of goes to how we can reduce food waste, especially as something that's as prevalent as urban fruit trees that are dropping a lot of fruit. Good, okay. So the problem that we identified is that a lot of edible food is wasted when it's allowed to rot on the tree or rot on the ground. It goes unpicked, either by the homeowner or by community members. And so, as Gabrielle was telling us, when organic material doesn't make it to the compost and it just kind of, it either goes in the landfill because it's not being consumed, it can produce a lot of methane, which is more potent than CO2. And so that is contributing to climate change. Also, if this fruit isn't being picked and being eaten, that's food that's not going into people's hungry bellies. And this is probably happening all over Tacoma, but we can only confirm that it's happening in the North End as of our project, because that's where we focused. And people that are impacted are the homeowners who are dealing with this rotting fruit on their ground, as well as anyone that's maybe walking in the neighborhood and seeing these beautiful fruit trees with ripe fruit on them, and then they're not sure if they can pick them without maybe being scolded or just feeling weird about picking fruit from a tree that they don't know about. Next.
So what is the solution? So Hope and I were talking about it, and so, well, first we need to identify which homeowners are actually willing for people to come and pick from the trees. And of course, we focus on the North End. There is this really great website, and it's a global website, and it's been created. It's there for anyone to use, fallingfruit.org, and it basically has a map. When you enter your data for your address or your home, and you can add in notes about, can you come and pick the fruit, and whether or not it's easily available from the street. You can just load that data, and then you can see where it's all populated. So when I looked at that map initially, there was maybe one or two in all of the North End. So it's not really widely known here in the community that website exists. So by getting this information and putting it in there, you can visually see where all those fruit trees are at a glance, which is very helpful. And of course, we want to make sure that the homeowners are also aware of how to take care of their trees, because there have been issues with pest diseases that are spreading. A lot of these trees are actually deteriorating.
So our implementation for this, we went on some fun walks together to go through the neighborhood and genuinely just look at trees and see, if they have fruit on them, what type of fruit, where they were, took pictures of them. And then we mapped those trees on fallingfruit.org that Kathy mentioned. Again, it's a citizen science open source website that anyone can access, similar to like eBird. If you're collecting your birds, you can collect your fruit trees on there and put information about them. And then we also created a flyer to hand out to different households that had the fruit trees that we identified. Flyers on the next slide. And on that, we asked homeowners to fill out a survey to tell us a little bit more about their fruit tree, and whether or not they were comfortable with community members picking fruit from their tree if they were in public spaces. So that's the flyer. We handed that out to 30 houses. I think the next slide. Oh no, this is the survey. Hold on, we'll get to we'll get there. Oh yeah, and the other thing we did was update all the info on fallingfruit.org based on our survey responses. Which I'll talk about our survey responses in a couple slides. But if you go to the next one, so that's the flyer, and then Kath, you want to talk about the survey?
Yeah, this is really just the data collection part, and we're asking, hey, can someone pick from your fruit tree? Because we'll just load the data for you. We're just trying to make it easy for people to get their data, and maybe that's one obstacle people are facing. They're just not having the time to do that. And also, do you want education? We can give you information. So we're just trying to facilitate the process as much as possible.
Yeah. So unfortunately, only one person responded to our survey. But we distributed 30 flyers. I'm hoping that maybe they're just like, I'll fill this out at some time. And sometimes it's not yet. That's okay. But one person replied. They did say that people could pick from their trees. So that's but this is what it looked like So Kath was right. There's literally one that someone else had put in here before. So yeah, I guess to kind of orient yourself, this is North Union, North 30th Street, Junette, and then 21st. So Cook's Tavern-ish area, if you know where that is. Those are all the trees that we added to the database. Exciting. And also, I mean, we just want to know that like we recognize the North End is not necessarily the neighborhood that needs extra access to food in this type of resource, but it was just the easiest for us to be able to work in the realm of this project and hopefully inspire other people to go into their neighborhoods and map their fruit trees. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think it was funny because when Hope mentioned she wanted this to be done in her neighborhood, and I know that neighborhood. I walked through and I was thinking, I don't remember really seeing any fruit trees walking through there, but it was funny when we finally did, you know, every block, I mean, there was one or two. It was really amazing. And it just shows that I don't even have that awareness. But it was great for you because you live in that neighborhood. So it's a way for her to run into her neighbors, talk to people out on the street. I mean, we did run into one of your neighbors one day. So
and they told us, they were like, oh, we have a bunch of figs in our yard. You can come get some figs. Yeah. We saw a couple quince trees too, which was kind of unique as well. Like there's, I think, 2 or 3.
So it's very diverse. It was very diverse.
Oh, can you go back one? Yeah, thank you. So we just learned how much volume, like how much fruit is on a lot of these trees was pretty shocking. And then the variety, like I said, we saw a lot of different fruit in this urban setting, and a lot of it goes unharvested. And in the future, I think I'll probably at least do bullet point number 1 just in some free time, because I think it's important that people know about the Falling Fruit website, because otherwise it's like, how are we going to direct people to know to put information on there or to find information if they don't know about it. So I would like to make a couple flyers to put in like community spaces around Tacoma, just so people can find that for themselves and maybe feel inspired to map their own neighborhoods. And we had also tossed around the idea that it would be cool to create a yard sign that homeowners could put in their yard that says like, hey, you can pick my fruit. So maybe someone in next year's cohort will pick up where we left off and create an awesome yard sign. So I was kind of inspired by like the Pierce Conservation District collaboration with the Golden Lawn, you know, so like what can we do to encourage people with sustainability that's like very visual. One more.
Yeah, well, huge thanks to the Pierce Conservation District, and you know, we both have worked with Harvest Pierce doing the gleans, and that was kind of what triggered the idea for us and sparked it. So of course, thanks to all of you, we've gotten quite a bit of input and feedback on how to build this out.
Time for one question.
If you had any data from Harvest Pierce County about if any of the trees you surveyed had ever participated in a gleaning event or activity?
So I did communicate with Harvest Pierce, and they do have the data, and they were going to share it with me, but they never did because they're extremely busy. The problem is they don't sit in front of a computer that much. They're out on the farms working, and so now is the time they would probably give me the data. But for the purpose of the project, yeah, we couldn't. But it would have been helpful to kind of see how that all compares.
All right, thank you. All right, next up, we have our first virtual presentation from Jeremy Odero, increasing awareness of hug at UW-T.
I will add, Jeremy was fighting a cold and he muted himself a couple times to cough, so that's what the pauses are.
Hi everybody, nice to see you guys again. We'll meet once more for the final capstone presentation. My name is Jeremy Odero, and this is my Tacoma Pierce County Climate Leadership Cohort 2025 capstone project. So the project title was Increasing Awareness of Hilltop Urban Gardens at the University of Washington, Tacoma. The purpose of the cohort was, this project was part of the Tacoma Pierce County Climate Leadership Cohort focused on community-driven climate action. An overview of the project. My project aims to increase awareness of hilltop urban gardens within the University of Washington Tacoma community. HUG promotes food justice and climate resilience through urban farming and mutual aid, and that is why HUG matters. This wasn't about fixing a lack of awareness, it was about amplifying engagement and participation by fostering community and camaraderie. One of the challenges Tacoma faces is food insecurity and climate change issues, especially impacting marginalized communities. I picked University of Washington Tacoma because that is personally a community that I'm involved in by being a student at the University of Washington Tacoma. Students and staff are part of the broader community, but often feel disconnected from local sustainability efforts. The main purpose was focusing outreach was aimed to connect academic and community actions against climate-related issues. Its impact increased awareness can lead to volunteerism, partnership, and stronger community ties. So the main goal that I set out to achieve was to amplify HUG's mission and opportunities for involvement and how the community can help support them in their role and what they do and the amazing work that they do. I managed to achieve my goals. One main goal that I managed to achieve was by interviewing the Ledger, which is a University of Washington Tacoma students newspaper, which resulted in a published article highlighting the great work of what Hilltop Urban Garden does. And by doing so, this news article was published and released out to all students as well as staff in the area, which assisted me in promoting awareness of the great work that they do. I also started assisting with HUG's online gift shop so that I can help create an added revenue stream for the garden. But unfortunately, due to time constraints, I was unable to complete this. So the interview had an impact of resulting in the publication of the article, which was accessed by students and staff, as I mentioned, all across campus and the larger University of Washington Tacoma community. The obstacles and challenges I experienced was a limited time in balancing academic duties, organizing in-person events effectively. However, using effective media channels increased project visibility despite the obstacles faced. Lessons learned storytelling is powerful for climate engagement, as well as grassroots leadership drive resilience. For my future goals, I do intend to finish what I started and assist HUG in building the online gift shop so that I can help create an extra added revenue stream for them. And then a place where they can sell farm produce as well as essential oils harvested from the garden and natural remedies. I shall also explore service learning partnerships between UWT and I will continue promoting HUG's initiatives on campus. The resources I used included the training seminar that we attended, the 3-day in-person weekend, as well as information from the Hilltop Urban Garden website and Tacoma Tree Foundation. And this is the link to the article which I published. I did an interview and led to the publication of. Okay, thank you everyone, and I feel really bad that I was not able to be there with you guys, but I'm there in person. And yeah, have a good one. That's it from me.
Yeah. All right, thank you, Jeremy, wherever you are. And up next, we have one more recording. This is going to be Houston Vassell talking about Hilltop Urban Gardens community support. So very closely connected.
Yeah.
Hilltop Urban Gardens. Hi everyone, my name is Houston. My project is titled Hilltop Urban Gardens Community Support, and thank you for being here today. So just a little bit about me. My name is Houston. Like I said, I use she, her, they pronouns, and I'm currently living in downtown Tacoma. Been here for a little over a year and a half. And for my project, my initial goals were to volunteer at the Hilltop Urban Gardens farm, create flyers to advertise their programs and events, educate community members on food justice and how it's related to climate change, and then recruit volunteers and help community members access their resources. Unfortunately, due to some organizational changes within HUG in my own limited capacity, I just ended up helping them with the organization and maintenance of their artisan storefront center. A little bit of background on Hilltop Urban Gardens, also known as HUG. So it's a community-led Afro-Indigenous, racial, environmental, reproductive, and queer justice organization based in the Hilltop neighborhood of Tacoma. And some of the programs that they have are Farm to Preschool, Agro Academy, Black Birth Worker Initiative, Community Food Sovereignty, Artisan Storefront Center, Wellness and Ecology Park, and then at the beginning of this month they started doing Beyond the Bell. And then the two programs that are highlighted I will talk a little bit more about. So the Artisan Storefront Center is a space where creatives can come and just build community and share their skills and knowledge with other community members. And it opened up this past summer, and they host vendor markets there. They have community events, workshops, and they seek and compensate teaching artists and drop-in facilitators. So as you can see here are some of the flyers. So this is the advertisement for their teaching artists and facilitators. They offer a base pay of $65 per session. In the middle here, we have one of the artists. His name is Jamal Fleming. He had some of his artwork up in the store, and he sold some of his pieces. And then he also did this 3-week workshop. And we have Somatic Sundays here, just led by Batumbi, who is a HUG staff member. So a lot of time when I would come in, I would see these like trash bags on the tables. They were full of clothes, so they have mutual aid. And so people would come in, leave donations, and I would come in and organize them. So I put them up on the clothing racks, organize them by size, and things like that. And so every time I came in, there was generally a little bit more. On the bottom shelf, it's bedding and socks. So there isn't currently a separate storage space for those things. So they're kind of just living in the bags for now. But in the future, it would be nice if there was more storage space to be able to have those things be a little bit more accessible. And then this is just an example. I did a spreadsheet inventorying all of the supplies in the storefront center, both the art supplies, the sewing supplies, and their culinary art supplies. So there's this black bin of art supplies, and this is just an example of what I did to categorize it. And then on the right here, you can see there's like these black tiles on the wall to cover the drywall. This is how it was when I came in. It wasn't done the way that Tanisha, the director, wanted it done, so I started taking them down, but I haven't had the time to finish that, unfortunately. And then just some other tasks, I cleaned the space, so I swept the rugs, wiped down the countertops, put away like random items that were kind of just strewn about the place, and then I took up the trash whenever it was full, and helped set up those space heaters because they don't currently have like central heating running, so they have like 5 or 6 space heaters. And then how did my project contribute to climate justice? So I contributed about 20 hours of service to HUG, and in doing so, I allowed their staff to allocate their time elsewhere rather than in the storefront center. So they were able to do the grant work in order to do the farm stuff that they need to do. They were allowed to work on the farm, they were able to workshop plan. And so even though I didn't directly do anything food related, I was still able to help them achieve those goals. And then also like climate justice really needs community because it's not something that someone can do alone. And so having this space where people can come and connect will help cultivate a sense of collective responsibility, and people will be feel more entitled to help their neighbors and engage with each other. And then I think also just when you have community come together, you understand the intersectionality of climate change and how things like food and socioeconomic status and race can really influence the way that you experience climate change. And then big takeaway from my project is like networking is super important. So I had my first meeting with Tanisha October 13th, and then she offered me a job November 17th, and I started on the 24th. The outreach steward. And so I'll be like planting, maintaining crops, managing farm crew, doing volunteer coordination, organizing staff meetings, and providing land stewardship. So even though I had to change my project goals initially, I was still able to achieve all of them because I'm now doing work with food directly.
Well, that one had a happy ending. All right, we're moving right along. This is fun to see all the progress and all the projects. Yeah, our next one is going to be from Anna Zarnik Niemeyer, and we're going to be talking about climate co-working. Here we go. Give it up for Anna.
Hi everyone, my name is Anna. I use she and her pronouns. Just a bit of background about me. I was Angelical Pickles for Halloween. And so I'm a Lutheran pastor, and so I really care about sort of setting the table for community to be able to do meaningful things together. That's what I bring, a unique aspect of this that I bring to it. I'm also a queer person, so I know the power and the importance of community. And I'm a neurodivergent person that often works from home. So I know the power of co-working with other people. And I noticed that one of the organizations that I really admire is Tacoma Green Drinks. How many of you have heard of Green Drinks? Yeah. So it's a really cool place for both professionals and people who are climate curious to connect together. And that's usually in the evenings. I actually just went to the one that was probably 3 days ago, made a wreath. It was really cool. But my evenings, especially in ministry, are often pretty busy. And what I really want and need for myself and other people that do climate work is a space to co-work with other people, to hold each other accountable. I'm curious, just in this room alone, how many of you are in a profession that's related to climate or sustainability? And how many of you work from home at least 1 day a week? Yeah. And that's kind of a general trend as well. So as part of my role in ministry, I'm the climate resilience organizer for the Southwestern Washington Synod. In the church world, the Synod is like a county. So I'm like our climate resilience organizer, and I help churches as they discern how to repurpose their buildings and land for justice initiatives. And the one that I focus on is climate resilience hubs. Churches are the second largest landowner in the nation after the federal government. So it's an important space to organize around, but you can't organize around it alone. So that's exciting. So Sarah Brady is a friend of mine who works at the, she also works at the Nature Conservancy. That's Sarah right there. She's not alone. So she said, so this is us meeting for climate co-working. Sarah said to me, it's nice to not be alone in climate these days. You may notice some other characters. Well, let's go to the next slide. So my goals for the project were both fulfilling personal stakes that I have and wanting more connection as someone newer to the Tacoma area. I live across the street from here in Parkland. So I wanted to provide some love and support and care for climate professionals, making work that can be isolating. You know, this can be isolating, and it can also be tough on the soul. I wanted to provide some care and caffeine for workers. Also, an opportunity to connect that's low barrier. For some of us, going to networking events that are networking events can feel exhausting or even vulnerable. And so I wanted this to be a space that if you wanted to, you could just show up, not talk to anybody, and get a lot done. And it was important that it was in person. So many of us are sitting on Zoom meetings. I really like Zoom, but there's something special about meeting in person with each other and feeling the energy of each other. So right away, I did 2 beta tests for climate co-working. Yes. So we did one in September and one in October. The venue that I chose was one that was one of the first places that I went when I moved to the Tacoma area. It's called the 15% Board Game Cafe. It's a BIPOC and woman-owned board game cafe. That's a local business. It's an inclusive space. It's accessible with no stairs, and it's right across from a bus line. So this was in September. Shout out to the people that showed up, to Hope and Callie, Nadine, Gabrielle, and some other people that also attended. I just had meetings that I had to do that day, so I said, "Why don't you come for coffee?" And this is the second meeting that we did together. What did people say? It was important for me to, as we were at this co-working gathering, I wanted for it to feel lightly facilitated so that you could show up and know sort of why you were there and maybe facilitate some relationship. So I asked people who they were, what roles they did, and then also just occasionally asked what they were working on. And I learned about just what everything that people are working on is, and then we asked questions, and there was some like crosstalk. One person was even like, "You can get like a particulate monitor and I can pass it to you." So there was some really meaningful collaboration. So Hannah said, "I came to Public School that provides a different space to think creatively about the work that I'm doing. And there's an opportunity to meet other people that I otherwise wouldn't have that are doing similar." Nadine said that it's helpful having people to brainstorm with. We know this, that wouldn't have access to otherwise, or you're not around day to day. It's nice to get outside perspectives and know what people are working on, and then they can provide their perspective as well. I know that all of us can relate to Nadine when they say it's really lonely working from home and it's easy to procrastinate. So I find it really supportive having accountability for my neurodivergent brain. Next slide. This is Jal. He had just started his job 2 months ago in rural forestry. He said, "A big part of what I've been doing these first months of onboarding in my new role is just meeting partners in the area." So this seemed like an opportunity for that. Also, he happens to live 3 blocks away, so he could walk to it. It's on 6th Ave. So go to the next slide. Thanks for reading slides. Here's my friend Lakeisha. They said, "I came to commiserate with fellow folks advancing important work around sustainability. We can compare notes, knowing that you're not alone and siloed." And I would say, going to the next slide, what are some of the things that I've heard? As a community organizer, it's really important for me to listen carefully to people and to notice trends of what I'm hearing. Here are 4 trends of what I heard. One is that a lot of climate folks do work from home, at least 1 day a week, and that can be isolating. So how can we fight the loneliness and despair of doing this work that's really existentially challenging? And I obviously care about the deepening of caring for people's spirits, their mental health, but also their spiritual health, not religious health necessarily, but their spirits as we're doing this work. Also, I learned that with newly elected leaders, even leaders that you think will be great, roles can shift in big ways and quickly. So for those of the people that were working in King County with a new county executive, there were significant shifts in their climate work. So I also heard something that all of us know, which is that federal funding cuts really affect every level of this work, which can also be a downer, or you could lose your job. And so everybody that was there, or most people that were there, had been in their job for 5 years or less, and they were eager to connect with other people in connection. What did they ask? They said, can we do this again? So I scheduled the next climate co-working for January 9th, which is a Friday from 1 to 9 at the 15% Working Cafe. And I'd love to invite all of you to be there for it's a drop-in time. The venue is the 15% Working Cafe. It's really lovely. And they allowed me to schedule these for free. And we supported the caffeine provisions with the support of the program. Also, I want to shout out the community event series, Tacoma Green Drinks. It's in the evening. It's casual evening networking, and I think like we can hit some of the same people and some different people. A supplemental resource I want to provide is it's called Pathways to Resilience: Transforming Cities in a Changing Climate. And I want to end with a song that we can learn together. So the lyrics go, you do not carry this all alone. You do not carry this all alone. This is way too big for you to carry this all on your own. You do not carry this all alone. So I'm just gonna teach it to you. We can skip questions and we'll just sing together. Okay, so when I point to myself, I'll be singing, and then you, when I go like this, you can repeat it to me. Does that sound good? So, you do not carry this all alone. Try it. You do not carry this all alone. Now me. You do not carry this all alone. Now you. You do not carry this all alone. Now me. This is way too big for you to carry this all on your own. Now you. This is way too big for you to carry this all on your own. So you do not carry this all alone. Now you. So you do not carry this all alone. We're gonna sing it together. Give yourself a little heartbeat. Okay. You do not carry this all alone. Again. You do not carry this all alone. This is way too big. This is way too big for you to carry this all on your own. So you do not carry this all alone. That's true.
Fantastic. With that, we're gonna take another 5. So feel free to mingle. We'll be back in 5 minutes. This is our last round of presentations. We've got 3 more to go. And then we're gonna do the evaluations and the certificates. So our next presenter is Nikesha Kabil. Nikesha is going to talk about what's next. Civic Pipeline and Network. Here we go.
Hi everyone, you can go ahead and go to the next slide for me. My name is Nikesha Kabil. I am a lead consultant and founder of Connected Haven. Just a preview of what I do. I'm a systems disruptor and restorer of equilibriums. I'm a connector and builder of safe tunnels for transition for agencies, governments, organizations, and small businesses. So what I do is I guide them through some of their destructive patterns and habits and that are stealing their influence, that delegates their power to other subsidiaries, and that also taints the perception of their authority within communities. So I kind of restore, repair that breach, and kind of reconfigure their systems through deep excavation and infrastructural rebuilding to allow the community to walk hand in hand in generational stewardship. So that's what I do. Next slide. So this is the problem. So governments, everyone's very visual. This is how my brain works. Governments and agencies is over there, right? All of the people, I love you guys, but all of them there. There's a big break in the bridge, right? Look at the earth's falling in the water. There's destruction everywhere. And here's community, like we're ready to ride. Like we're like, yes, let's go. But we can't get to the other side nor can the agencies get to us, right? So there needs to be a repair of the bridge. That is the issue. And most people have already talked about it in terms of the sessions that we had. A lot of agency professionals, they talked about just the closing the loop, the collaboration and engagement connection. And so that's what the problem is, and that's what I seek to solve. Next slide. Who does it impact? So I focused all on Tacoma and Pierce County, but it really is statewide when I looked at it from a systemic level and dealing with systems day to day and people that work with systems. It's a statewide issue, but for this specific capstone project, I just focused on Tacoma and Pierce County. A lot of not only city professionals, but also you talk about the underserved communities, the disadvantaged individuals and things like that. It affects everyone, all of us. Next slide. So who did I ask for help? So I asked Rob, I realized I forgot your mustache. Rob, to Rob, thank you for the referral. And we talked. I also talked with Tanisha, who I saw some other projects with the Hilltop Urban Gardens. And then I also reached out to Kate. Kate was one of the panelists. So thank you, Kate, for being here. I realized your hair color is the wrong hair color. Forgive me, but these are the I reached out to for help with the solution that I had in mind. So this is what we did. So I had a virtual meeting with Kate. Rob and I had like a coffee meetup type of situation, and then Tanisha gave me a farm tour. Now for Tanisha, what I was trying to do was figure out how to merge these systems, how to merge all of the issues and make it cohesive and comprehensive, but just not like overwhelming. And so a lot of like the projects and things that I see that people are doing and that also agencies are doing, they usually use their own network. They don't know who in the community has those expertise. And so Tanisha was mentioning she needed a grant writer, things like that. And I was like, well, I write grants. So I went and visited her farm just to see like how I can help. For the people that I do know, how other people can get involved with the services and programs. And so just like Houston, she did offer me a job. I didn't take it yet. I told her I'm still pending, just trying to figure out consulting and what that looks like for next year. But I do have her on standby. But Kate and Rob were just fundamental in helping secure that proof of concept that I needed. Rob gave me some great advice, and Kate also has another recycling program that she would love to have assistance on when it comes to building the directory for different recycling options across Pierce County. Next slide. So I decided to create, I took the issues. So the issues is information overload. When you talk about sustainability, climate justice, there's just so many programs, there's so many websites, so many calendars. Like I was confused. So I was like, no more of that. Then for some of them, you have to follow them to know the information, like especially on LinkedIn. I'm like, so I gotta like everything that you say just so that I can get the information, and I don't like that. So I took those two issues and I created a platform, which we'll see the platform in a minute. But with this platform, it's a seamless experience. Everything is right there when you need it. It's easy to reach. So you see how like they found who they needed and they was like, let me email them. It's a great connector. So it's a great tool for also agencies, like when you're in planning sessions and when you're in meetings thinking about potential projects and you're like, well, I don't know. And Rob was like, well, sometimes we don't know who to talk to. You can just pull up this platform and be like, oh, we're looking for so-and-so. And it's a community liaison. So it's community members who have professional skills and who are willing to partner and be collaborators with agencies when it comes to the climate justice initiatives and programs, okay? So then that's where you get the collaboration. You see them talking charts and at the computer, this is how it's supposed to flow. So if you click on, let me click on it, sorry. If I click on, and forgive me for being in your way, hopefully you can still see it. The website, but this is what it looks like. Well, how do I make it bigger? Sorry. Okay, so this is the website, right? So you have everything you kind of need. It's a quick description of what the world is, what's going on. And then you kind of have at the bottom the bulletin of like, well, this is what we need from you. So if there's any projects or initiatives, oh, I'm so sorry, because I'm so in your, oh, you said that, okay. If there's any initiatives or things, I will post it here in the bulletin. And then say if you're like, okay, well, I just want to know, I I just want to know what's available. Oh, how does this mouse work? Oh, here we go. I just want to get involved. I want to know what programs are available. I want to know what's for me, what's not for me. It's open community. There's a calendar you can have to get involved. It'll show you all of the events, everything that's going on. If there's any meetings or commission board meetings, will be here. If there's any notes pertaining to those meetings, I kind of break down that technical language for you so you can understand kind of what they're talking about and just also how to know how to get involved based on what they're saying. There's a projects tab, right? So I was thinking for every cohort member who has projects, this could be listed here of all the projects and great things you're doing, but then also the projects that agencies have that are like, we just need someone to talk to. Like we'll pay someone just to have like a feedback session or just a community session. Those projects or specific asks or requests from agencies will go in this specific webpage. There is going to be a resource. What is going on? A resource hub where you'll find all of the amazing resources. So I know a lot of people have mentioned what the resources are. I kind of wanted to make this very streamlined. And so some of the resources would be like fellowships, scholarships, if there's any specific training programs and things like that for people that want to get involved, but like they don't want to plant trees. Because like me, I don't like dirt, I don't like bugs. So you won't find me planting trees, but I'll be in a boardroom. You know what I mean? Like I'll go to a workshop and just not gonna get dirty. So it kind of has that. There's other things like a win folder where if you found an opportunity, you can let us know and we'll post your win and we'll celebrate you. So this is just kind of streamlining everything into one functional website. It's like Julia said, it's a modernized Craigslist. You'll find everything you need. And you'll never miss it. And then that way you don't have to worry about passwords and trying to log in and get exclusive information. It's here. You can bring it up in meetings. You can say, hey, we know something, we know someone. And the last thing I did want to show was where did it go? Excuse me. I just wanted to show the community directory. Oh. Thank you. Okay, I'm not seeing the community directory where I had it, but there's a directory where you would have your anybody in here with a cohort or community members, they'll have their photo. And if you don't have a professional photo, I have resources to be able to get you a free professional photo. It'll have just your expertise, where you live. And so there will be filters and searches so people can just search easily if they're looking for a specific county within Washington, and also specific skill sets and things like that. So it's just a directory that agencies or anyone that's needing help or needing a collaborator in the community that has the expertise, they can find them right away. So that is my presentation. Yeah. Question, now don't come at me too fast. Comments.
Excellent.
Yeah. Okay, I like. Are you reading?
This is designed so like anyone can upload a question or a document.
Yes.
Opportunity.
Absolutely. Right now I just have it because I built it in Notion, which is something I use for project management. And so I have it right now where you can't necessarily like make comments, but I will open the comments once I figure out how to do that. But if not, I do have a specific email box that you can always just, whatever you have, reach out to that email and I will have it posted.
That was my question.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, and then also too, I am looking for moderators. It is a paid position. So even if you were like, I want to make some part-time cash, just help moderate the site, keep it updated. I already have the systems in place to kind of gather all the information, but I just need help uploading it and keeping it updated. And then any inquiries and things like that, because I do want to track data of how like how many people are accessing it, things like that, and how helpful it is so that I can pitch it to other agencies and just get a broader view and outreach to it, but then also funding, because I'm looking to fund this. I'm looking to help also all of your projects, look funding for that to see how we can just continue the cycle. So
Yeah. How do we access this site? Is it ready to be accessed?
Oh yes, ready. I will provide the link to it, but it's ready. Yeah. Any questions?
All right.
Thank you.
All right. I miscounted. We have 3 left starting now. The next one is going to be virtual. It's going to be Jackie Kaiser talking about how to connect to the land. Round of applause for Jackie.
So
The link. Hold, please. No, I need to speak. Yes,
but I'm really excited today to talk about. I am not able to attend. I'm really excited today to talk about my capstone project. My name is Jackie Kaiser.
Is this okay?
And I live in Tacoma, Washington, close to Wright Park. My capstone project.
There.
Everybody. I'm not able to attend. But I really.
Okay, yeah, I really don't know why that is. You know, if there's if you hit the little sound button, does it give you options for
I think just roll with it.
Okay. Okay. I'm gonna have to turn captions off. I'm sorry.
Excited today to talk about my capstone project. My name is Jackie Kaiser. I use she, her pronouns, and I live in Tacoma, Washington, close to Wright Park. My capstone project is how to connect to the land. So why does connecting to the land matter? Recently, I overheard somebody on the bus, and she was talking to her friend, and she's like, "Girl, it's been too long. I need to go touch some grass." And I was like, "What does she mean by that?" And it took me a while, but then I realized, like, she needs to absorb being outside and like be intentional about being outside. I then later looked up that the average person spends 6.5 to 7 hours a day on screens in America. This is including work and then what you do on your personal phone, watching a movie. There's a lot of time that we're spending on our screens. And I personally come from a really small town in Iowa that was laid out in a classic grid. So every street was numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and all of the other streets were A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And I've always wondered what was lost when we have street names that are 3rd and L Street compared to Woodrow Road, let's say. And in a society that prioritizes comfort and capitalism, we must seek connection to each other and to the land that we walk on. So where is this problem? Well, this is a global issue. My project centers on Tacoma and Pierce County. I have looked at this region at different scales and held spaces to gather with others and explore how naming can be used to strengthen place-based connection. My project goals and scope. Some accomplished goals that I had was creating a survey to have a greater understanding of others, my neighbors, and their connection to the land and what they already perceive as connection to the land. So some other things that I did was my own personal connection, researching on ways to connect to the land. I read 4 different books during the time of this project: Braiding Sweetgrass, The Hidden Life of Trees, Home Waters, and The Island of Sea Women. And something that I'm proud of getting people together was I hosted a coffee and connection gathering and talked to my new neighbors. I had recently moved to this area and talked to my new neighbors about their favorite places and their connection to the name of that place. And my whole goal for this project and for this coffee and connection time was just to get to know people and like what they value in me. And at the end, I had them fill out the survey, and they actually ended up getting 17 responses, which I'm proud of. And I encourage neighbors to take time to notice and to let their curiosity wander. And this really sparked new relationships for me and in my neighborhood that I really, really value.
continued goals that I have for this project. So many goals. But I want to continue further outreach, education, and organization on renaming initiatives in the area. I want to produce more outreach materials and learn from others. And I'm thinking about creating a video and some engaging print materials. And I really just want to continue to encourage others to connect to the land whatever way they see and like feel within themselves. So how does naming impact our connection to land? This was just one way that you can connect to land and the way that I personally wanted to research in this capstone project. And I think that it comes really commonplace, and we identify ourselves by names and the impacts on all of us daily. So I'm going to read some of these questions kind of slow, and I just want you all to think about them and think about your own answers. What happens when your and language are erased? Renaming can be an act of recognition, healing, or resistance. A familiar name can feel comforting or grounding. A harmful or inaccurate name can cause frustration, grief, and disconnection. Names often preserve stories and can transmit knowledge across generations. Examples in Tacoma that maybe could make you think of why this was named that. One of my first days in Tacoma, I walked around Wapato Park and I had no idea what a Wapato was. And so I sat on a bench and I looked it up. That's part of my own curiosity of wanting to know why something is named something. But also I think it just creates room for that. Some recent renaming that has taken place in the Hilltop neighborhood is Dr. W. Joy Hardiman Park in Hilltop, as well as in the Travis Elementary School and the park. Some examples that we may need to think through and activate and continue to push on renaming. One that I really hold dear to me that I really would like to see changed is going back to Mount Tacoma. For thousands of years, people have called this mountain Mount Tacoma, and the current name does not reflect who we are and what this mountain is. And I believe the same thing for the naming of Pierce County, who was named after the 14th president who was adamant on maintaining slavery. And I think that we all are just greater than these names, and it does affect each and every one of us. Something that I'm excited for coming up is the Spoyali Posh Trail that's going to be coming in the next few years. Some of my resources, I mentioned that I read quite a few books, and here's just an overall list of my abbreviated resources. And I want to leave you all with this quote from Braiding Sweetgrass, probably now one of my favorite books of all time. Knowing that you love the earth changes you, activates you to defend and to protect and celebrate. But when you feel that the earth loves you in return, that feeling transforms a relationship from a one-way street to a secret bond. Robin Wall Kimmerer. The things that we can all do today to connect the land in a new way, I want to challenge each of us to spend less time on our screen and to be intentional with our time. Maybe the next time you go outside, I want to challenge you all to use all 5 senses and to just be present and go touch some grass. Thank you all so much. I learned from each and every one of you, and I just really am so appreciative of this opportunity. Thank you.
All right, next up we have a project with a mystery title by Wiley Reed. Come on up, Wiley.
That's a great title.
I think y'all know that I'm from Texas, so I'm bundled up because I'm not like used to the cold that y'all are. People say I look like Yukon Cornelius, and I love that. I aspire to be that. All right, so before we get started, I'll say, when we did the sessions over that weekend, some things that I connected with was the idea of building on a structure that already existed, like building on, you know, creating a partnership with actors that are already in this space. So, and we talked about so many great things over the course of those sessions. Towards the end, Nicole from Pierce County talked about some of the climate cafes that they do. And just to refresh our memory on what that was, they do these cool events typically with target around like high schoolers and maybe middle schoolers, to just create a space for youth to talk about the issues of climate change and to make space for them to synthesize that in some type of creative way, hopefully leaving a little bit more connected with each other, the issues in their community. So with that in mind, I created a workshop, artistic and poetic workshop, and we can hit the next slide. So the workshop that I developed was, we went to a library in Pierce County. I gathered a bunch of interesting objects ahead of time from outdoors and led them through a series of drawing exercises as well as some poetry. We can hit the next slide. I'll sort of explain what the final outcome of that project was in a minute, and sort of some of the exercises specifically we did. But first thing that we did was I showed some of the students, and we had a few families of middle schoolers, so I think there was like 6 people in the room. I watched a video with them. Probably my favorite thing on YouTube, arguably. And if we could hit the next slide, we can hopefully watch that as well together. It's very short. So this is a poem by Wendell Berry, which is one of my favorite people. The audio is not lush.
Depths of love. From despair for the night grows in. I wake in the night at the least sound, in fear of what my life and my children's lives may be. I go and lie down where the wood drake rests in his beauty on the water, great heron figures. Tax their lives with forethought. The presence of still water. I feel above me the day winds smash. For a time, I rest on the face of the world.
I love that poem. And because it had illustrations that I adore, and because the poem itself is something I really connect with, and because our workshop is structured around art and poetry as tools to think through some of the darkness of climate change, and also just, it didn't really even get into that so much, but just wanting the kids to connect with nature and, have those moments. We talked about that poem together, and even though there were some big grown-up words, I teach first graders, so I'm pretty good at figuring out how we can deconstruct that a little bit. So we had a really nice discussion about how that made us feel, and we said that, basically the arc of that poem and video was, we feel scared, but we can feel hopeful, and we can feel hopeful when we go to nature. And so, and we talked about how not just going to nature, but connecting. So after this discussion, we can hit the next slide. I passed out a bunch of objects, and basically, long story short, led them through a couple of different drawing exercises that I learned when I was in art school. Things that are not about realistic drawing. It's about holding something, maybe closing your eyes and feeling a pine cone and drawing as you feel around, and just connecting that sensation to the drawing. Maybe y'all have heard of blind contour drawing before. If there's some artsy people in here where you look at the object and never look at your page, and you're drawing directly, and so when you look down at your paper finally, it's pretty goofy, pretty fun, and pretty loose. And so those are exercises artists do sometimes to just loosen up as a warm up. And for kids, it's a great way to connect with an object from nature. So we can hit the next slide. So some action shots here. And I had sort of a surprise output here. Like I had passed out cards of watercolor paper, and all the materials were covered through the endowment of Tacoma Tree Foundation. So wouldn't be possible without those things. And those cards are conveniently the perfect size for a postcard. But I didn't tell them what we were making. I said, draw this object, like we did a couple exercises, pick your favorite one, pick your favorite object, draw that, now flip it over, draw a line to make it 2 squares, left and right. On the left, we talked about what a haiku is, which is something that they should be familiar with in their school. We wrote a haiku about that object. And then at the very end, I said, like, this hope doesn't mean too much if we just let it stop here. So I passed out stamps from my stamp collection because I'm a nerd. And we mailed these out to our friends and family. With the remaining time, let's go to the next slide. These are the cards. They turned out great. Let's do the next one. Is that it? Okay. Looks like maybe some of the actual poems themselves are making it, so you can just imagine they're really good.
Questions for Wiley? Comments?
Where did you do this workshop?
I did this at the library in Gig Harbor, which was sort of wouldn't be like probably my top choice. Like I would have maybe in the future would like to do things that are in a more urban setting, because I think that's the kids that need the connection most. But that being said, I really love the fact that Pierce County, like the people doing the climate cafes, the people in this room that put that together typically, they want to hit those in the community that are not in Tacoma itself, because there's a lack of programming for them. So that was the need that we were meeting with that. Thank you.
Okay, last but certainly not least, we have Nadine Shaw-Navas coming to talk to us about writing for climate resilience.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the next one.
I know.
Sweet. Hello, you guys did it! Yay! I will be quick, I promise. I thought I had 5 minutes, so I got it down to 4 minutes and 30 seconds. So, my name is Nadine Shaw-Navas. I use she and they pronouns. And as a lot of people were talking about today, climate resilience, art, hope, all of these conversations around climate despair, burnout, how are we feeling hopeful? How are we going to keep doing this work? So I decided to host a writing workshop, tap into my community of artists and writers. And I think that as like writers, artists, storytellers, there's a moral imperative to facilitate hope for folks doing important work. So can you go to the next slide, please? I'm supposed to tell you where I live. I live in Spanaway, grew up in Spanagram. I went to school in Parkland, so like right here, PLU. I spent some time in Midland, and most of my community is in Tacoma. So that's where this workshop took place. And I guess I did a little bit more than 4.5 minutes, so I can probably chill. As you heard, and throughout the seminars that we had, there's like 3 days with the panels, there are so many initiatives that are happening around climate action, climate justice, from the city, from the county, community-based organizations, and community is like foundational to that, right? Like impacted community, the voices of impacted community are necessary to drive climate solutions, especially if we're looking at this from like an equitable lens. And there are so many initiatives, such as this one, to bring community together, to educate community. And something that I wanted to explore was a barrier to community engagement. And selfishly, it was a barrier that sometimes I feel for engaging in things like this, and that is that despair. Because the world is burning around us, and I feel that often. And I remember on the first day, that like first 8-hour day that we had with all of those panels, I came home to my partner and I was like, wow, that like wasn't as I expected, you know, like I was drained because it's like, it's heavy, it's real. These are like real impacts to our community. Like as the urban heat, you know, island impact gets worse, like we have unhoused people that die every year in the summer. Like it is like real, I'm on camera, can't swear. Real stuff that like really moves us. And so sometimes I could find myself falling into this despair, and I kind of wanted to explore that through my project. So we can go to the next slide. My project was trying to find a way to mitigate that climate despair and support that like grassroots engagement, that like really important community engagement to drive all of these wonderful initiatives that our governments, our city, or our county lead and really need that community insight to facilitate equitably. And similar to kind of what Kath said, like really in your presentation, really sat with me and Ella, your presentation kind of imagining this like hopeful future is absolutely necessary to moving through this despair. And so I facilitated a writing workshop tapping into my art community in Tacoma, the wonderful art community, and I facilitated this with Blue Cactus Press, which is an independent book publisher here in Tacoma. And we had the opportunity to talk through and acknowledge those horrors and what does it mean to really have hope at what feels like the end of the world. And my tagline was planting trees after the end of the world. So we got to do some imagination. We got to play a little bit, and that was fun. So I built a handy dandy handout, which there's a bunch of over there. It's a super overestimated attendance. So if you want to take one, I kind of described my cycle of climate despair and tried making this personal. It felt like there was a gap in that like human element for community engagement in terms of climate action, the like human dimension. We are like people that make up communities, and we get burned out, and it's hard and it's overwhelming and it's scary. There's these big interconnected systems that cause these problems. And so being able to disrupt that cycle with radical hope, which is an active framework. It is radical hope is a thing you do. It is not a passive feeling. And so I did some education around the radical hope framework that's really rooted in Indigenous and Native American perspectives and stories. So we went through and we read, I read an excerpt from Ideas to Postpone the End of the World, to really sit and like imagine like, yeah, your world is ending, and then what? And we really sat in the and then what for the 90 minutes of our workshop, and discussed what could a better world look like, and take it seriously, just as seriously as we take all of the horror. So if we can go to the next slide. It went great. I was really proud. We had a full house at Blue Cactus Press. Very exciting. We had, I think, just over 20 people, and we had 2 littles, which was wonderful. And I led folks through a somatic meditation to just kind of close their eyes and like sensorily feel what that new world, what that like hopeful world that you're building towards felt like. And I really was channeling Shalom right at the beginning of this workshop, who encouraged us to reflect on like, why are we doing this work? Why does this matter? Why do we care? And really like tapping into that like emotional aspect, like you were talking about, Kath, with music. So after that somatic workshop, we did some discussions. And then if you go to the next slide, these are some artifacts from the workshop. So we had folks write short stories. One participant, and also my wonderful friend James, decided to do a drawing instead, with one of the quotes that I shared, which was, "Let's postpone the end of the world. There's always time for one more story," which comes from that excerpt of Ideas to Postpone the End of the World by an Indigenous, Aboriginal Indigenous activist, Brazilian Indigenous activist. I like different book. And I also, to kind of tap into that like human, like emotional, spiritual connection, like climate impact is spiritual inherently. Like we sit with the nature, we gather hope from nature, like it is something that moves us in our soul. And so I also drew on my own personal faith tradition. We have a prophetic saying or a hadith from the prophet, peace be upon him, that says, if the final hour comes while you have a shoot of plant in your hand, and it is possible to plant it before the hour comes, you should plant it. And we like sat with that and like sat with that, like the world is ending. What if we acted as if it wasn't anyways? What does that action look like? And that's how we take that passive hope to something that's active. So if you go to the next slide, here's some quotes because I did evals. And we got like 17 or 18 evals. I was very excited. And I think I won't read all of these, but there were anonymous evaluations, and this one I think really sums up what my goal was. This workshop was a great way to activate and encourage folks. It's easy to feel hopeless with everything that happens in the world, and sometimes being engaged to make a difference can feel overwhelming or like you don't know where to start. And I was hoping that by facilitating some community connection, we could ease that, and then we did. So if you go to the next slide, I did a Likert scale, and out of 5 points, everyone enjoyed it, which is great. And then how useful was the workshop? 80% of participants who filled out the survey said 5. The other little chunk was 4, and then same thing over there with how likely you're to take climate action at this workshop. So listening to folks have conversations about their neighborhoods and like, yeah, I do kind of wish that like we had more tree canopy, I wish we had more shade. And then what does that look like? How can we do that? Write about it, like write stories about it, draw art about it, share it with their communities, because art is this accessible way that we can tap into that human part of engagement. So we can keep doing things like this without burning out and like kind of sinking into that despair. And this is an abbreviated list of my resources. So tapping into the Pierce County Sustainability 2030 plan and seeing all of the different community-driven initiatives in that, I feel like there's really an opportunity to provide spaces for community to connect in this way when we're as like state employees or as city employees, municipal employees doing climate initiatives and climate action. I think it's really important that we're addressing the human dimension of community and asking them to engage in these efforts. So I don't know how much time left over. I'm so sorry. I'm the last one, so you did it.
Yeah, we do have time for a question or two. Come on.
Can you? Blurring things up. Can you? What is radical hope? How do you define that?
Radical hope. I define radical hope as a hope that you are embodying when there is no clear path forward, and you are acting as if this was what you were going to do. So like I see radical hope as I'm in this situation that feels all encompassing, despair, burnout, what have you, and I'm going to act to get through this instead of just sit and hope that something better happens or something better changes. I'm going to live as if this world that I want will be. And it's on the handout in the back of the room in case you wanted to take a look.
Great.
Thank you very much. Right, I'm gonna turn the light back on. All right, I have a question for the group of cohort members before we do the evaluations. I'm curious, for how many of you was your final project very close to what you thought it was going to be at the beginning? Anybody? Chase?
Kinda, yeah.
How many of you found a whole new area that you weren't interested in before, didn't know about? Okay. Got some tentative hands. Great. Well, thank you all so much. It's really amazing to see this work and to see how it came together in just a few short months. So I think it's really impressive, the amount of work, the output that we see. And a lot of you have gestured toward future work. Like I don't see a lot of your projects that just stop here. So I'm really excited to see that as well. We are going to hand out these evaluation forms. We're going to give you about 10 minutes to fill them out. There's only 3 questions. And after that, we're going to give you your certificates and you can say farewell and be on your way. So we do need extra pens. If anybody has an extra pen handy, we'll probably need some help with that. So here come your forms and stick tight.
Yeah, there you go. No, something was out of that. I know.
Final ceremony. Here we go. Make sure you have your evaluation handed back to Julia. And we're gonna invite you up one at a time, and we're gonna shake your hand like it's graduation. And I guess that's it.
And then afterwards, we're gonna do a group photo right here. So.
Okay.
With your certificate.
And I want to say that we're very sad that our three friends could not be with us, but we're proud of Jackie and who else? Houston and Jeremy. Yeah. And I think this might be the first year where we had 100% or almost 100% completion of the projects. Okay, first up is Rufaro. Come on up. Good job. All right, Ella, you graduated.
And I'm retired from the community.
Oh, you are?
Great work to do.
We have time to plant trees.
Okay, Wiley. Callie. Nikesha. Anna. Yeah. Congratulations. Chase. Connor. Hope. Nadine. Well done.
Congratulations.
And Kat.
That doesn't get two certificates.
Oh. I don't have any inspiring last words, do you?
Oh, I'm put on the spot. I'm just excited to see you guys out there in the wild, planting trees or being in boardrooms, you know. And the boss that she is, boss all of you guys are. So I'm so excited to go see what you guys do. And I'm excited to attend. So yay, email me. Thank you.
Yeah.